Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Emax Tinyhawk Lite analog ready-to-fly package. There's been a lot of these types of packages lately, but this one is actually budget enough to buy for $180 and not lose too much when you are ready to upgrade. First we have the quad, which has brushed motors to keep the cost down, along with an analog VTX with up to 400 milliwatts of power. Then we have a spare 750 mAh 1S battery with Emax's own connector. You're given 3 batteries in total. Then we have a spare set of AVAN props, and we have a bracket to connect the detachable FPV screen to the controller. You are given a USB Type-C cable, a simple USB LiPo charger, some tools and spares, and a second USB micro cable to charge the FPV goggles/monitor. Then we have Emax's Express LRS based E8 transmitter. The controls are labelled, which is really helpful for a beginner, so we have an arming and disarming switch. The model doesn't have flip over after crash or a beeper installed. These switches are for use with another one of their products. As this is a Betaflight based quad, we have angle mode, horizon mode and acro mode. The transmitter has a DSC trainer port, and it can also be used with a simulator via the USB Type-C connector, which also charges the included 18650 battery. You can also mod an external antenna if you wish. Then we have a bunch of stickers and cards, and we have the analog transporter to box goggles. You are given some spare Emax connectors. I personally don't like bespoke connectors because it either means that you have to mod other batteries, which isn't easy or safe to do for a beginner, or buy spare batteries from Emax. The goggles are really basic, but this package is aggressively priced. It's essentially a 4.3-inch monitor with a built-in analog receiver that detaches via magnets from the goggles for those who want to attach the screen to the transmitter. I actually think this is a better option than using the goggles, as the cheap Fresnel lens in the goggles is really straining on the eyes, despite you being able to lengthen the distance of them. The monitor has a built-in 1300 mAh battery. Crucially, the monitor does not have a built-in DVR, so you can't record your FPV feed. On the side of the monitor, we have a power/menu button and an automatic channel search button. And on the other side, we have B and C buttons to move the channels manually up and down. With the antennas attached to the monitor, a quick power up of everything and it's all working. It just all needs charging. We have a few menu options, but sadly there's no way to switch the 16:9 aspect ratio to the native 4:3 of the camera. But it can be flown fine like this. The image is just stretched slightly horizontally. The quad is really nice, sort of a flashback to the old days where we didn't have tiny brushless motors. Its all-in-one flight controller is flashed with Betaflight, and it has a modern USB Type-C connector. I wouldn't recommend tweaking anything in Betaflight for a beginner, but the fact that you can is great. The camera is the Runcam 3 Nano, and the VTX is switchable from 25 mW up to 400 mW, which is double that of the Beta FPV ArtLink system found in the Aquila 2, and 4 times more than the Ascent system found in the Cadex Protoss. Despite the name, it's not light in weight, it's only light in price. With a battery, it weighs 53.7 grams and 36.5 grams without a battery. The biggest problem with brushed motors is that they don't do well with heavy hits. The shaft of the motor bends easily, creating friction, and that's what burns them out. The motors and props are fully protected though to combat this, and they are very cheap to replace, but it's why we don't see them much anymore, along with them having less power than brushless motors. I used my Fat Shark HDO2 goggles with a rapid fire receiver and a Menace periscope antenna and a Bandicoot patch antenna to record the DVR, which performs much better than the receiver in the provided goggles. But because analog is analog, you can at least upgrade to better goggles with this package. And I have to say, out of all of the recent budget ready-to-fly packages that have been released, I had the most fun with this one. I think it's because it's such a cheap price. There's no anxiety when flying it around. You can fly it through tiny gaps with no problem. The prop protectors just bounce off stuff if you don't hit anything too hard. Being a brush model, it is for sure underpowered, so unless you have plenty of height, I'd stay away from trying to do flips and rolls in acro mode. But cruising in acro mode was so much fun. Analog cameras also do better in low light than budget HD systems, so I felt happy to push flying the model in darker scenarios. For the type of model this is, the Betaflight tune is completely fine. With small brushed models, there's not a lot you can do in terms of improvement when it comes to the tune anyway. Emax has put in the manual that you should not modify any of the PID settings, and I would recommend the same. Emax has test pilots that test the tune of their models, and changing it might cause problems. Also, with this being a brushed model, you tend to find that the tune needs to be quite a bit different than a brushless model. So if you aren't used to tuning your models, it's definitely best to leave the tune alone. The on-screen display placement is fine, but as this is Betaflight, you can change it if you like. What I love about analog is that you don't have to worry about your video signal in the same way that you do with an HD video system. When you start getting really bad breakup, that's your warning to turn around. I've been so used to HD video systems where you're looking for an image stutter, or it starts to pixelate, or you are fixated on your megabits per second somewhere on the on-screen display. Analog is simple, and it gives you the confidence to push things more. And with this package, I was reminded how good the range of analog can be, even with a fairly low-powered budget model like this. I was able to fly as far as I was willing to walk, which did put a big smile on my face, I have to say. You just have to remember, as a beginner, there's no lost model alarm with this. It can't even make the motors twitch to make a noise because brushed motors just don't work like that. So if you lose the model in long grass, it will be difficult to find. With the Cadex Protos and the ArtLink based Beta FPV Aquila 2, it's difficult for me to recommend them because you'll be spending $350 plus on a ready-to-fly package that has little to no upgrade path. But I think with this one for $180, you could learn to fly with it and not be too sore moving on to hobby grade stuff afterwards. I was easily able to convert the budget Emax transmitter to mode 1, something that I couldn't do with the Cadex and Beta FPV offerings. However, it should be said, just like those other ready-to-fly packages, the Emax E8 radio is not officially supported by Express LRS, so any firmware or updates that need to be done has to go through Emax. So it's not really a future-proof radio, but it is something that you can move on again because it doesn't matter as much with the price being as low as it is. I think the biggest downside of this package are the goggles. I really strained my eyes flying with them, and I mostly flew with my Fat Shark HDO2 goggles. However, when I first started off flying FPV, it was with models just like this. In fact, not as good as this. It was the Hubsan H107D, and I would use a screen to fly through them rather than goggles, and then you could move on to some better goggles such as the Ishin EV800D, for example. I think this is a good cheap package to buy as a beginner, and I didn't think I'd be saying that about analog again after being spoiled by HD systems. But HD systems that are good are really expensive, and you are constantly worrying about crashing and losing your investment, and that is not the case with this. The flight time isn't too bad either. It's not quite as good as the Cadex Protos and the Beta FPV Aquila 2. I was getting around 5.5 minutes flying inside and 4.5 minutes flying outside, where I was using more power and it was much colder. So there you go, that is my review of the Emax Tinyhawk Lite ready-to-fly package. I'll put a link in the video description if you wish to get one. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers!